So welcome to this sixth STIQ Robotics networking event. I would like to start off by thanking the amazing sponsors that make all our events possible to hold and for you to have some drinks and some pizza afterwards as well. So this time we have Covariant, HAL Dickinson and OPLOG. Covariant and OPLOG, they will be presenting their solutions. Covariant just after this. HAL Dickinson have some people around in the audience. I think perhaps you can stretch up your arm perhaps. There's at least one. So you'll be very busy in the break. If you have any questions regarding legal matters, IP or anything like that, please talk to HAL Dickinson. Yeah. On that note, also for those of you who booked the Covariant event, it turns out that we planned that very, very timely, so they are actually moving offices exactly now. Which is why you can't go there, but they will probably invite you at some later point, I hope. So instead of the normal self-promotion at this stage, telling you everything about my publishing business, I just wanted to talk to you quite quickly about my views on the popular topic of humanoids. So typically when we talk about robotics and automation, there's normally very clear kind of KPIs that needs to be met. Pick this in 2 seconds, place that there in 13 minutes, delivery, and so on as well. What you can see on the screen right now is a robot called Judy from Disney Imagineering. What kind of KPIs are we looking for from this kind of robot? That's my question to all today. Is it a humanoid? Is it a KPI to do a somersault? To stand up and just do many, many different somersaults? Or is it to entertain? So this is obviously a valid question, but I think that in the UK we have such a fertile, creative industry as well, and I want to mix that, or I want to perhaps challenge the audience here today to perhaps think a bit outside the box for new startups. Some of you, I just spoke to some of you thinking about the startup as well. Do you really want to go into make a robot that has sharp KPIs, or do you want to do an entertainment robot? Anyway, so there will be a bit of self-promotion anyway, of course. So this is how we segment the legged robotics sector, by the way, humanoids. We mix in humanoids, quadrupeds, but also entertainment robots, and then also to exoskeletons and informative robots as well. So this report will be published a bit later this year, so you can obviously pre-order it from our website as well. So, but we think that there is a very exciting area that has loads of opportunities as well. There's a huge market for entertaining people with robots as well. With that, I just want to go on to tonight's schedule. On that note, so there are no fire alarms planned tonight, by the way. So if there is a fire alarm, please make your way out. Perhaps don't follow me, but follow all the signs instead. Yeah? If you need toilets, they're just outside to either side of the lifts where you got in. And so this is the program that you see here. This will continue to about 6:30. Then we'll have a networking break for refreshments, come back after 30 minutes again. And then we do some more presentations. And after that, some more networking. With that, over to Ryan at Covariant.
Thanks, Tom.
So that's the one.
We'll put it like that, I think.
Cool.
We on? Thank you. Yeah, so pleasure to meet everyone. Those who I spoke to outside, and please come introduce yourselves later on. From Covariant today, we have myself, also my colleague Matteo somewhere in the audience. Look for the curly-haired Italian, and he'll give you some good answers as well. Yeah, so first of all, I'd like to offer my apologies. I know we with best endeavours, we tried to allow a visit to our London office to see our industrial robot in action with our powered by our AI prior to this event. Unfortunately, we're in the process of moving offices, so that wasn't possible today, but we're hopeful by the time that Tom sets up the next one of these that we can offer that as well. So I'm here today to talk to you about Covariant. We are scale-up, I would say. So you'll hear a lot from startups today. Covariant's a bit more developed in our lineage. And we're here to talk about AI robotics and why we as a business think that that is beneficial to the wider world and what we're seeing from that when we're selling these solutions into the market. Now, Tom's told me I'm on a strict timeline, and as essentially a salesperson, that's very difficult. So I'll be looking to him to prompt me as I'm slowing up, I'm sure. So, sorry, just to add, Ryan Finnegan, Head of Global Partner Strategy for Covariant. I also do private consultancy for the UK and European market. So please talk to me about any and all of the above outside. So who is Covariant? We are powering the future of automation via AI robotics. And we're doing so because we were founded by 4 pioneers of deep learning AI. So our 4 founders, Peter Rabiel, Peter Chen, Rocky Duan, and Tianhao Zhang, are all Berkeley AI graduates and then went on to be some of the first employees at OpenAI, so business that I'm sure you've all heard of in the recent news with ChatGPT. So these guys then, having done a lot of that initial work with large language models and wanted to bring that out and develop it, but with robotics. And so Covariant was founded in 2017 by these guys with the idea of bringing AI robotics to the mainstream world, and the first foray was into intralogistics. We're VC backed with north of $200 million in funding. Most recent person to invest was Bill Gates in one of his foundations. We have offices in London, as we discussed, and also in Germany, in Shenzhen, China, and in San Francisco. And we have now deployed worldwide solutions using our AI platform that we coined the Covariant Brain, along with the industrial mechatronics. Customers today, some names that you'll recognize on the board, and our other route to market is through our indirect channel, working with partners, of which businesses like Knapp, ABB, Fortner, Bastion, Dematic, and AWL. So the main rationale that we see for AI robotics isn't probably new to a lot of you. Yeah, the reality is labour is becoming more expensive. Our children and our peers are becoming more well educated, and so therefore the likelihood of them wanting to do very monotonous and mundane jobs in warehouses is less likely than maybe in past years, and the labour availability therefore is becoming less. I mean, the population that is working and doing these mundane repetitive tasks in warehouses and places like that are becoming more aged, and therefore the likelihood of being able to replace these people is becoming difficult. E-commerce is continuing to grow. I mean, COVID was a proof point to what the futures ahead hold for us. And with that, there's only going to be an increased requirement on personnel and on flexible workforce. And so this is something that we see an issue in the market, and as I'm sure a lot of the other speakers will talk to tonight, is something that we try and address with the use of robotics, but specifically with the use of AI robotics. So what's been done? Many of you in here have probably seen or worked with vendors and providers who are providing automation solutions, and we at Covariant call the historical solutions like ASRS, AMR, AGV, pouch, etc., systems that move product from A to B, the idea that they're automating the feet and doing so fantastically well. The problem is feet is just a part of a person, and until, as Tom coined, the humanoids come out in force, that still leaves us with the ability to essentially require the automation of the hands. And this is the task where you see people out in the warehouse having to do things like move empty pallets down, singulate them, induct into sorters, parcels, turn products label face down to label face up, pack things into your e-commerce orders, pack your groceries, all of these things that essentially today require a person to stand still for 8 hours a day and do something that is within the circumference of their body position are things that we think AI robotics can supplement. And you might think, well, that's great. I've seen robots out for many years. Why can they do that now and they couldn't do that before? Well, the rationale of that is the complexity and the throughput and accuracy that a person performs at. So Covariant is able to provide solutions for these markets because our AI platform, the Covariant Brain, is really the leader in the space at being able to understand complex and intricate scenes. By scene, we mean anything from the confounds of a tote to what you see on a pallet or in a bag or on a tray. And so when you look at that, and you as a person can understand that from a tote that's got 5 blue medium-sized t-shirts, there's one and there's another, that's traditionally been really difficult. And this is something that Covariant's AI platform is able to do. Differentiate each individual item, understand therefore when it picks one, it knows it's only picked one, and then on top of that, understand how it can manage the ability to maneuver from A to B without collision, ensure that when it's placing, it does so in the right position and to get the best performance on the placement side. And all of these things that allow us to get close to human level autonomy, which is great, but a person can also do all of these things and can do them pretty fast. So the real key thing is being able to do all of that complexity, but tie it together with the performance, speed, and accuracy that you get from a human colleague. And this is where, again, you'll see predominantly most of our solutions tied together with an industrial robot that is performing anything from 500 through to 1600 pph using our system, subject to the application. So how does this Covariant work? Well, we essentially like to think that we've coined the GTP of robotics. Yeah, so everybody knows of ChatGTP, and that's been really profound actually for us as a business because it's allowed an audience wider than those who are talking about robotics to understand a little bit about what it is that AI is capable of doing. And so what we've created, again with our 4 founders and our researchers, is the ability to create a foundational AI model that learns from picking. So every time a Covariant-powered system picks an item from a scene, it learns how it's done that, whether it failed, whether it succeeded, and therefore what the best course of action was. And over the last 6 years of our business, we've been able to develop this system to have picked millions and millions of items. And so therefore we're learning all of the time, whether it's a deployment that we've done ourselves, through our partners, or just in our lab. And even today, where we actually train the model through virtual simulation, where it's picking items that maybe we haven't even seen yet, that a customer in the future, it tells us they might have. And we're able to do this and train the model so that when we implement these systems from the get-go, they can run almost instantaneously. What that does is it allows us to think broad scope. Where today in an intralogistics space can we provide solutions? Yeah, we want to automate the hands. Where are those hands working? And there's lots of systems. Yeah, so today Covariant has provided systems implemented in sorter induction, put wall applications from batch picking profiles. We've done goods to person picking. We are in the development of pallets and depalletizing and everything like that. So lots of application there, and proof is in the pudding, as always, right? So today we have deployed well over 100 stations globally, with probably 4x that in the pipeline of deployment over the next 2 years, doing a variety of different applications where we develop our own end effector, we develop our own AI platform, and we combine that with any industrial robot on the able to be bought on the market. And that is it. So thank you all very much, and if you have questions after, please feel free to come find me.
So any questions? It's a very lively audience today, so there we go, there's one question.
Yeah, so each picking is, you mentioned some figures, I think it's like 400 to 1600 units per hour, I guess is what you were saying.
Yeah.
That's great. With certain order profiles, you have that's where this kind of technology can't, at the moment, seems to struggle against the human.
It's a great question. So you're very true, and in certain instances it is difficult. The things that we are developing right now, I can give you a near-term example where we have a solution for a meal kitting company, and you can imagine a person can pick quite a lot of cloves of garlic at once, yeah? And so as a result of that, and also the result of our depalletizing developments, we're actually doing multi-pick. So the idea that we can create an end effector that, like a person has fingers, might have 5 suction cups. We individualize each individual suction cup, we look at the scene and understand, okay, in this instance, this person's order actually wants 4 cloves of garlic. Rather than doing 1 in, 1 out, we can see where we can place the end effector to successfully pick 4 in one go, and then decide whether we want to place individually or separate.
Awesome, thanks for that. Ryan, you're spot on time as well with your presentation. I'll take that. And next up is Wayve. There we go. I think I'll do it like that. Something like that. Run away afterwards, yeah? Oops. There we fitted.
Hello.
Works like this.
Yeah, okay.
So all yours. Press
Thanks,
down.
Tom.
Thank you. 5 minutes.
What's next on this thing?
Down.
Down. Oh, I see. Sorry. Good
Down, you'll get yours.
evening. Great. My name's Chris. I'm from Wayve, working on bringing embodied intelligence to autonomous vehicles here in London. This slide has not rendered properly, naturally, but for us, we see 3 key opportunities for self-driving in the UK. Firstly, creating a lot of up to 40,000 new green jobs in the economy in just the next 10 years by 2035. It's already that close to 2035, surprises me. Helping create safer, cleaner streets and communities by addressing the fact that every 22 seconds somebody is killed or seriously injured on our roads. The 4 leading causes of those are all human factors. And also helping to achieve our climate goals by encouraging the transition to electric vehicles. Despite the opportunities, plenty of money and time, we still don't see scaled self-driving deployments around us, right? Our thesis for why this is that it is threefold. Firstly, that the incumbent approaches rely on, firstly, high-definition maps of the environment and handcrafted rules that fail to generalize in our dynamic scenes of downtown London, for example. Second is poor unit economics created by expensive sensing and compute platforms that make it hard to form a strong business case around. And lastly, a failure to generalize over a large enough fleet type to encompass enough types of vehicles that we need in our economy, for example, buses, light commercial vehicles, and passenger vehicles. However, at Wayve, we see the problem as what we're calling AV 2.0, where we're compressing the planning and perception layers into one deep learned end-to-end network. Here, what we're doing is optimizing for the control objective directly without having to be constrained by the intermediate representations of those layers. We rely on a sparse and cheap sensor suite and have decoupled from the need to bring in high definition maps into our solution. This way, we build driving intelligence directly in our model. Consider how you yourself have changed in crossing the road from when you were a child to when you are today. Your sensing platform hasn't fundamentally changed. However, you've taken your past experiences, generalized and learnt rules of the road, so that you can apply that to the new scene that's unfolding before you. And by definition, you've not seen that exact scene before. This is intelligence, and we see driving intelligence as key to unlocking the future of self-driving. For us, we've demonstrated this type of generalization across 3 different areas. Firstly, in geography, by scaling our delivery program with Asda to cover 400,000 customers in just 3 weeks. Secondly, our fleet consists of 2 different types of vehicles, a light commercial vehicle and a passenger vehicle, and we're scaling that further over the next year. And lastly, it's developed the ability to perceive and operate in a variety of different environmental conditions. To help us on this journey, we've developed 3 key breakthroughs that have been made available to the industry. Firstly, Lingo 1, which is a vision language action model that allows us to directly query the driving model to understand its reasoning for things. We can ask it, can you turn left here? It might reply, no, this is a right turn only intersection, for example. Secondly, we released Gaia 1, which was a generative world model to allow us to create synthetic data of new scenarios that are consistent with world behavior. And lastly, a photorealistic simulation suite where we can scale and test at test at a larger scale and more safely than we can achieve on the road. Very quick whistle-stop tour of Wayve. I'd love to answer any more questions you have later in the session, or you can find us online at the address there. Thanks for listening.
So any questions from the audience? Here we go directly here.
Hi.
Will your large language model tell you when it's safe to deploy it?
Nah. Great question. I think Lingo 1 really helps to answer the question, create a less, by opening up the model so that we can actually directly query some of these questions to understand its reasoning, we hope that that will encourage people to ask more questions of the model and that it will be less black box, right? So you can start to understand why it's doing what it does. Hope that helps answer your question.
I'm sure there will be some more conversations
Sounds
about
like it.
that over a drink later, yes.
Please.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you. Cheers. Sorry about the rendering. That's the pen. And next up is HAL Robotics. I think that's that one. And I will. Bloody hell. That became complex. Oops. There you go.
Cool.
And Sebastian.
Sure. Good. Oh, do I need to be here? Yes, I do. Good evening. So, my name is Seb Andreas. I am the CEO of HAL Robotics. That was my last slide. This is my first slide. We are a robotics software company. Things are going. Okay, we'll see how this goes. We're a robotics software company making robots in manufacturing more flexible by automatically reprogramming them. So we increase the adaptability of robots to handle complex toolpaths in things like 3D printing, from additive manufacturing of concretes to metals to plastics, highly variable parts in more traditional processes like welding or finishing, all the way through to machine tending, autonomous robots navigating construction sites, and cocktail making, shaking, throwing and catching. But if anyone asks me to do that, I will walk away immediately. That's my first slide again. So we do that through something we call the HAL Robotics Framework, which is a completely vendor-agnostic simulation and programming platform. The general workflow being you pick a robot and build up your digital twin of your robot scene and cell from presets we've got within our catalogue. There are over 1,000 robots that we support. Or you can build it up from scratch. You can then generate toolpaths and validate programs through simulation, always taking input data and generating toolpaths rather than manually programming things. And that's what really allows us to adapt to changes. Because we're not manually programming things, we're taking input data and generating those toolpaths. Every time that input data changes, so too does what your robot's going to do. And then we generate native robot code. So we trust ABB, UR, KUKA, and all those robot manufacturers to have built good motion planners and controllers. So we don't want to take control of the robots. We generate the native robot code, send it over to the robot and run it. That keeps all the safety and system functions in check. So we're not having to redeploy and deal with that side of things. And we distribute the software in a few different ways. We've got a visual scripting SDK, which we recommend for people who are developing a new process. Lots of our additive manufacturing clients, for example, use that. We have an operator-centric platform as well, which is very limited in terms of, or can be customized to be very limited in terms of the options available to the operator. And then we can also run completely headlessly in Docker containers, on the cloud, in XR applications, wherever it may be, to fully automate a process. A few quick examples. So in terms of additive, this is the kind of options that you get. We've developed our own slicing software, well, slicing module, which means that we get to keep all of the metadata about when a part is getting sliced. So we know what a wall is, we know what the infill layers are. And so actually, instead of just having G-code to generate and to deal with, we can change the settings of the robot based on the kind of context that it's working in. We can also handle additive manufacturing on non-planar surfaces. We've done that on aerospace composite panels all the way through to surfboard sanding. And by giving people that massive amount of freedom in terms of that toolpath generation strategy, people can do really cool stuff. So 3D printing regrind, so being able to recycle materials, is pretty tricky because the material's changing every single time you're dealing with it. And so we really need that level of adaptability. And the operator has to be able to configure things on the fly to be able to deal with a new grind of regrind. And on the far side, really cool application from a company called Xtree, who 3D print concrete. And they've managed to create this kind of woven concrete texture just by manipulating the toolpath and tweaking some parameters within that toolpath. That's not geometry that's inside the models that they're actually printing. That's purely based on manipulation of the toolpath and the incoming data. And then something slightly more from the operator's point of view, finishing process. So here the operator's view is on the little screen there. The robot's polishing some kitchen cabinets from a 3D scan from a scanner that's sitting above it. And the operator's only options are speeds, forces, overlap, and a bit of pattern generation stuff. They don't need to be a robotics expert. They load the panels in, hit scan, and we're checking on the fly whether the robot can do the job. And then when they've set their parameters and hit go, the robot automatically runs that job. We have been around for a little while, so we have, several thousand users and hopefully some names on there that you recognize. So if you are interested in automating any processes involving robots or fancy just nerding out, please come and say hello or get in touch. And we will almost certainly be opening a funding round at the beginning of next year. So if anyone's interested in that, please also get in touch. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience?
Quick question. 11,000 users is like B2C or you are B2B business?
Yes, so those 11,000 users are, we are a B2B business. Those are individuals within those businesses though. So it's users, there are probably several hundred companies within that. And if I'm being perfectly honest, there are some academic institutions that help that number go up quite quickly.
Awesome. So more questions for Sebastian in the break in the network. Awesome. Thanks a lot. With that, we have Meili Robotics. There we go. That's your first slide. I'll give you this one first. Hang up there. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
5 minutes.
Cool. So yeah, thank you, Tom, for having Meili Robots here, and it's a pleasure to come over from Copenhagen to present to you. My name is Aldous Vandenberg. We are a software company based out of Copenhagen, and we provide a universal fleet management system for mobile robots being AGVs and AMRs. The idea is that if you have a mixed fleet or a single vendor fleet, you can control them through one dashboard. Little faces to the name. We're still a small team that we can pretty much show most of our key people here, but we're mainly technical people with backgrounds in industrial automation, robotics, and engineering. I want to a little bit talk about the why we do this. So back in 2019, we looked at the market and found that there was no cross-communication between brands of robots on the industry. So this is the interoperability issue that we're now going to be facing more and more in the market. So we thought, okay, well, if no one's doing this and automation is on the rise, as we all are aware of, let's not solve this. Like, let's go for it. From that, we have found that universal fleet management provides 3 key benefits from our perspective. First one is the OEM independence, where you as a user or you as a customer of mobile robots won't be limited to the OEM's limitations of their software, and you can start scaling and configuring the fleet how you would like to do it. Cost effectiveness, of course, you're decreasing number of software and you're increasing your performance and productivity of the robots. And then the third one, which is probably my favorite, is future readiness. You might tell me, hey, we only have 1 brand of robots. We don't need these kind of systems. That is true, but once you introduce a third robot or a second robot, such as a cleaning robot, to your warehouse, that all starts going down the drain because they cannot cross-communicate. So future readiness is more so being prepared, so rather than facing the issues later, you can be prepared for it and on board within days or weeks rather than months or, God forbid, years. So what do we do? So with our universal fleet management, we focus on more the orchestration on the fleet. So we have some other competitors on the market which might be focusing more on data visualization or the supervising or overview of the fleet. So we thought, all right, let's go down to the orchestration. Through that, we have 4 key features. The first one being the overview, where of course you can see where your robots are. You can see the battery status, the condition of the robot. The second one, which is task management or mission management, is where you can assign the jobs to the relevant robots. You can say, hey, this is your job, pick this pallet, take it there. And this can be done through manual, scheduled, or automated task assignments. And you can see a preview of our mission planner here. Third one being traffic control, quite simply ensuring that the robots work collectively rather than individually. And then the fourth one, which is route planning, where we tell the robots, here's your start point, here's your suggested route, and here's your end point. So where are we on the market? Well, we are working with sort of industrial sites, so those will be warehouses, factories, but as we're universal and brand and vendor agnostic, we also go into other facilities or other sites such as hospitals, retail, hospitality, agriculture, security or surveillance, and cleaning. We do provide to the end users, but our main client profile actually are OEMs of robots who have done the build versus buy argument, and buy is now actually a much more reasonable alternative. But we also provide to integrators where they might have a sales catalog of 4 or 3 brands of robots, and rather than individually onboarding those individual software, they can just have one software to then deploy to the end user. Some of the companies here you might recognize, they are both our customers, research partners, and also compatibility partners. So even though companies like Mir and Omron and Geek Plus might have their own software, which are good, when it comes to a mixed fleet, this is where we can come in as a middleware, as a compatibility partner. And our current deployment, we're still a small company based in Copenhagen, but we have already grown out to parts in Europe, North America, and Asia is a growing potential for us. I think that's actually it. So 30 seconds.
Any questions on fleet management, fleet managers, universal fleet managers? There we go.
What's your business model?
We are a B2B SaaS model, so we take a fee per robot per month.
And do you have like a streaming, like video streaming, or remote control? Or?
We do not have that feature in, but we do have a partner company where we can integrate that into our software to provide to you if required.
Does your overview feature also show material flow as well?
Such as the payload?
Yeah, as in the flow through the actual warehouse itself as well as tracking the robots?
So we can track if it has an RTLS system, say on a trolley, we can track the trolley, but we won't manage it. But we mainly focus on the robots itself.
Awesome, thanks guys. And for a bit of self-promotion, we're actually publishing a new report on HAL Robotics that's coming out November 30th, which is free to download. I'm actually right now writing about fleet management as well, so I won't answer any questions. So kind of different or similarities between the Indian robotics ecosystem, whereas the automation ecosystem, and the British one. So over to you. This one here is for the, just press down on that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tom. Thanks for this opportunity to present my ideas on this forum. I think I might have met a lot of you guys in earlier events, and it's really nice to see you guys in person after 3 months. Today, I'm just going to give you an overview about and some key insights about the robotics and warehouse automation market about in India. How are things done? What are the key challenges which companies face? What are the opportunities for venture capitalists? What are the opportunities for supply chain companies and also system integrators and robotic suppliers in India? So essentially, I've worked in intralogistics for the last 6-7 years, working with various system integrators in UK as well, and also startups to develop new business and also get new clients. Essentially, intralogistics is the smooth, essentially is like material and data flow between inside the four walls of warehouse. There are various functions which are automated, where we've seen presentations from other system integrators and Covariant as well, how essential it is to optimize the flow of goods and reduce the human capital and increase basically the speed of operations and efficiency. Essentially, in a nutshell, the value proposition for intralogistics automation centers around improving profitability and increasing the revenue. At the same time, it is driven through the customer satisfaction, right? So if you have more customers, if your customers are satisfied, you'll have more revenues, you'll increase your profits. And at the same time, if you have lesser costs, input costs, higher market reach, you'll grow in terms of profitability. But when you say, isn't just warehouse automation or robotics about reducing human labor? And when you say robotics is quite growing, is a growing field in India, how is it justified when you have 1.4 billion people and a large 64% of economically productive workforce in the country, right? So essentially, it is about the use case, which is driven by the challenges in the industry, in the warehousing industry, which come from the business landscape in India. It is about achieving a balance between the unique human capabilities and joining them with the technological applications to increase the value and maximize value for supply chain companies. So essentially, just to answer this question, how is it legit in India? So first of all, it is the essential ergonomic aspects and augmenting human capital to focus on more important tasks, focusing on important tasks rather than wasting time on urgent ones, and also the law of diminishing returns. There'll come a point of time where the output will be marginally less. It will be marginal as compared to the input or the number of laborers or manual labor you put in place. And when you speak of a market as large as India, which is the third largest online shopper base, cost of errors is a huge contribution to the operational cost. So this is where robotics comes in place. And now last but not the least, developing the skills, the capabilities for powering the future through AI, through robotics, and through these technologically advanced applications. So let's see the business landscape, the socio-economic factors. Over the last 4 to 5 years, e-commerce is a boom. What has happened because of that is the consumer markets are strong and stronger than ever. The competition is huge. The duopoly of the Walmart-based Flipkart and Amazon has more players, which is Reliance Retail and which is JioMart, and also Tata. 4 big conglomerates coming together, driving the consumer market. And as a result, what has happened is you need more space. As a result, the number of grade A warehouses has gone up. Larger facilities have come into place rather than smaller fulfillment centers, smaller sortation centers, and there is an increase in adoption of robotic automation for material handling. So let's see at the challenges which organizations, challenges in general for the supply chain companies, system integrators, and robotic suppliers in the Indian market. The main challenge here is ROI. Since the capex is significantly higher as compared to the revenues and the volumes which they, the profits which they make, capex is a key decision-making criteria. The need Only 30. Okay, all right, fine. Indian customers, supply chain companies need adaptable and scalable solutions to move on with the market and make sure they reach their KPIs. And essentially, it is on companies also make decisions based on the capability development for their internal in-house resources. So these are the key things which companies follow in order to mechanize or automate and then completely automate their material handling automation. Currently, you see there's a growing chunk of grade A warehouses in the mechanization and the island automation, where you see a lot of sortation centers, ASRS applications, goods to person applications, and at the same time, you'll see mobile robotics is increasing rapidly in specific applications of sortation centers, so sorting around 10K parcels a day, 10K parcels an hour, goods to person for order fulfillment, and 3PL and manufacturing sector is also booming for robotic palletizing applications. So if you are a VC, if you are a system integrator, or if you are a supply chain company, these areas, the consumer market, which is the warehousing, system integration, and new robotic startups are a key takeaways for you, as logistics is the sunrise sector in India. You have attractive investment opportunities and also the talent pool to build a strong manufacturing base with low manufacturing costs for system integrators. You can see companies like Vandelande and Nomagic having large engineering centers in Pune, housing around 2,000 to 3,000 engineers for developing projects and delivering projects in the Western world. And a dynamic environment to developing and testing out your robotic applications in dynamic environments. So this is an overview which I wanted to give in the little time which Tom has permitted me, and I hope you took something back from this, and I'm happy to have a chat with you in the networking break. Thank you so much.
Unfortunately, we don't have any questions for that, but you will be able to talk to Kaustubh on that after in the networking event, of course. Yes. So yeah, we ask everyone to do a bit of test in front of the mirror before they come up here, because we are quite hard on the time today. So with that, I will place this on you there. Yeah. Hopefully that works. Yeah, 5 minutes.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Well, nice to meet you all. I'm Erwan, one of the founders at e-Nano. At e-Nano, we are combining cutting-edge robotics and AI to enhance the maintenance of sport surfaces. And we do that because, as you might know, growing and maintaining turf is quite a challenge, and it's critical for the sports organization. So we are partnering with various stakeholders in the industry, such as pitch construction companies, irrigation companies, or turf suppliers, to improve their offering, and together with them to enhance the practices of the groundskeepers, to help them with their manual and labor-intensive activities by providing them data-driven informations. So why do we do that? First of all, to improve on their activities on the agronomic side. With better data, they can improve on the way they use water, chemicals, and energy for heating or for the lights, for instance. And that's a direct opportunity for them to save up to 425 million in the UK alone. In addition to that, with better data, the rendering is not great, but I guess you can see that with better data, they can also better predict or reduce the risk of player injuries, do some predictive maintenance as well to avoid match cancellations, and we can also provide more data from the field for the betting companies and the fans to be able to predict the results of a game. So in order to provide this data in an automated way, we have developed a patented solution which is made of Sprout, our robots, and Oscar, our web platform, which is kind of unique and end-to-end for our end users to be able to collect the data from our sensors and get access to the recommendation, the insights, and the best way they should improve to their maintenance activities. We founded e-Nano about 3 years ago. Since then, we have iterated quite a lot on the solution. Until today, we have recently reached a stage where we have a commercial-ready solution, which we have commercialized and distributed to our first paying customers in the UK, in the US. During this journey, we raised pre-seed rounds. We were also lucky to secure multiple fundings from Innovate UK, and we are currently preparing for seed rounds. We have a complementary team, so all the founders are engineers. So we are quite technical, and we are supported actually by some sports industry experts, with Christian Spring bringing more knowledge on the scientific side, and Andrew Brooker supporting or bringing the experience on the commercial side to distribute the solution. We are also lucky to be supported by a strong team of advisors, including David Roberts, an ex-grants manager at Liverpool FC, and Jeremy Pate, which is a strategy advisor and working for a robotic company doing line painting in sports. So we have quite a lot of insights in deploying robots in sports, thanks to him. Through that process, we have been able to secure quite a lot of traction. We have some orders on the book or delivered already with clients such as Ascot in the UK or Target Sports in the US, Syngenta in Europe. And we are in negotiation to distribute the solution in Northern America from next year with Target Sports and in one of the best leagues in Europe in football. So those are the plans coming next. And today we are starting our seed rounds, so we are raising to prepare the growth of the company over the next 18 months to accelerate customer acquisition in Europe and in the UK, to become a tech reference in the sports industry, and also to increase our manufacturing capabilities to be able to deliver from next year on this distribution agreement that we should sign really soon. So thank you for your time. Don't hesitate to ask questions. Come and meet me or my colleague Alan in the room. Go and have a look at the robots. It's in the room next to ours, and just feel free to reach out. Thank you.
So I love it when people are spot on 5 minutes. Thanks a lot for that. And as I said, you can see their actual robots in real life just behind this wall here. Any questions on this, by the way?
How much are we raising at the moment with the seed round?
1.2 million, and we have about 1/3 secured for now.
Awesome. So, yeah, any other questions for e-Nano afterwards in the networking break, I'm sure. Have a really...
Thank you, Tom.
There we go. Thanks a lot. So with that, next presenter is Cambrian Robotics. There we go. We'll take the shortcut. Yeah. So, place down there. There you go. This one there. So, it's okay there? 5 minutes or just?
Yes, 5 minutes. Hello, good evening. It's nice to see a lot of robotics enthusiasts all together in a room. I am Amrit. I am an application engineer at Cambrian, and I'm here to give a quick and short introduction to Cambrian and what we can do in the 5 minutes that I have. So Cambrian is an AI-based 3D vision system for collaborative and industrial robot arms. We use standard off-the-shelf industrial cameras to capture images, and we then run these images through our AI neural networks to get a 6D pose for the features of our interest. These features can, for example, be pick points if you want to grasp an object, or it can be features on the part which can be used to guide the next part of the process, for example, some sort of inspection maybe. some of the use cases are pick and place, bin picking, feature detection, assembly, machine tending, and so on. We can have a quick look at some of the case studies we have dealt with in the past. I'm not going to get into the details, just an overview so we get an understanding of the different possibilities of using Cambrian. So this one involved an LED lamp assembly. So Cambrian was mounted on a UR robot with different bins around the workspace. So the robot had to pick different components, some plastic components, some electronics, and assemble into the LED board. At the end, we were also testing if there was any deviance in the assembled positions, which is quite cool. So this one was for a cosmetic industry, where we were picking plastic bottles out of a bin and then placing them accurately on a conveyor. So this one was bin picking for metal parts. These are some shiny metallic cylindrical parts in a deep industrial bin. We had to get quite creative with the gripper design there to reach all parts of the bin. And then these were neatly assembled in a different bin. So this one was for a pharmaceutical industry where we were picking some transparent pipette tips and syringes. These transparent parts, as well as the previous shiny metal parts, are particularly hard ones for the vision systems in general, but something we are quite good at, I can say. So this is a cable handling and assembly process, which is quite easy to automate with Cambrian. So this particular task involved picking up a cable, routing it through a cavity, picking it from the other end before plugging it into a socket. But I can talk a little bit more on the coming slide about cable handling. So this is a particularly interesting one. So this is a case where Cambrian was applied outdoors. So this was for a food delivery startup. So Cambrian was mounted on a 6-axis robot on linear axis. So the drone would come land on the platform. The robot would come out of its housing. Cambrian would detect the latch for the battery. It would pull it out, replace it with a new one. Off you go. It was quite interesting. Again, the cable handling and assembly. This is something we've been focusing a bit more recently on. So this particular task involved locating the socket, coming back, locating the plug with the cable attached, picking up the plug, inserting it into the socket, following the cable, fitting the cable into appropriate fixtures, and then plugging the other end of the cable as well. This is particularly useful, especially in automotive industries, especially in the case of electric cars, where there is a lot of high electric voltage cables to be handled and dealt with. So we have over 30 plus distributors in integrated network across Europe and in some parts of Asia. So what is unique about Cambrian? So we are very robust to lighting conditions without any need for external lights, especially in factory scenarios where you would need that. We can achieve sub-millimeter accuracy while maintaining high robustness. We are able to detect a wide range of parts, transparent, shiny, thin, metallic, and we can precisely pick microparts and handle assembly tasks, and we can do all of this pretty fast. So these are some of the major robotic brands we support at the moment. Obviously, we can add more if there's any particular interest. Just winding up there, Tom. So, well, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for the opportunity. And if there's anything more to discuss, please free to come forward. We can have a chat about anything really. It doesn't have to be Cambrian. Thank you.
Yes. Hold on 2 seconds. Any questions on that, by the way? We're a very lively audience.
Which drone company? Which drone company, please?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to speak on that, to be honest. It's a food delivery platform.
Are they in Ireland by remote chance?
Sorry?
Are they in Ireland?
I don't know, to be honest. This was a bit before I joined, so I can get back to you on that. I see you there, so that's I'm getting back to you on that.
Awesome. I'm sure you can chat about that in the break.
Yeah, I will. There you go.
Take that one. Thank you. And following that, we have Enging from France. Is it? Netherlands. Close enough. Outside of the UK. Sorry. How do I fit?
I don't know if you can put it.
Yeah, okay, we do it there. It's all yours. Press down. 5 minutes.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Well, he's excused because I'm French. I live in the Netherlands. I come here into the UK to work from time to time. Lived in the US, married to an Italian, you name it. We can talk about it later. But I want to talk a little bit about, robot assembly strategies. So I'm working with Enging. This is my own company. It's one person, consulting. I'm an expert in industrialization. So I'm not going to self-promote because it's only one person. What I want to talk about is, robot assembly strategies, which is a bit different from manufacturing, other hardwares, consumer electronics, because you have many parts. It's usually complex, and the volumes are usually not that high. So, what are the most, common ramp-up challenges? It's interesting that it didn't. The agenda had 3 items, but. So when you look at it, when you ramp up, when you go from having made, a couple of prototypes, 3, 5, 10, and you need to make 50, 500, ideally, 500,000, but maybe not. You move from prototyping to delivering. And what happens is before you were making 1 unit at a time, you were building most likely, a lot of it in-house. You need to be flexible because there are last-minute changes and you need to change parts. You use a lot of off-the-shelf components, and you will most likely run in stop-and-go sprints. When you start delivering, you need to do, many of the same units. It needs to be the same. Hopefully, by then you're certified. They need to be, the same. You might outsource some of the sub-assemblies. You need to be replicable. So the focus is, not so much on flexibility, but on repeatability. And you might have, the chance to have customized components. You might have the luxury to have that. And you need to build some sort, instead of going like stop and go, you will have like continuous flow. So I have a black belt, in Lean Six Sigma. That's what you want. You want to be Zen. You want no interruption, no friction. Early on, you have small team. You can go, you Slack someone, you text them, at any time of the day, you get your answer. You want to get away from that. You want to not have to ask, questions. There was another. Oh, well, there you go. So prototyping, typical bench. You will have a mess, all the tools, people. One person is working there. When you deliver, you start talking shadow board. If you don't know what a shadow board is, then that's what it looks like. It's nice and tidy, and you can tell, if something is missing. We're not even talking like 3 shifts, but when people are coming in, you want to be able to find your tools. Another series of changes between prototyping and delivering. You usually have a small team when you start. You're going to have many colleagues after that. Few rules at the beginning. It's informal. You might need to have you need structure. You need to know roles and responsibilities. Who is going to be responsible for what? Typically, I'm working right now with a company. If you order, this part is from Amazon, you talk to Brian. If you order this part, is from, you talk to Fred, and this one you talk to Jessica because she has the account and all this, and it's on their laptop. You want to get, you're going to have one person who's going to source. That's specialization. Few users, you're going to have many customers. That's going to change. Speed. At first, you want to iterate. You need to get your prototype. You need to get stability. You need to get certification. You need to get all this. After that, quality starts. And you want to control. You have your limits, and you need to stay in there. And the personality of the people you're going to look for are going to be different. At first, you look for problem solvers, jack of all trades, someone who can run on a machine shop, run a 3D printer. You're going to need people focused, deadlines, and more specialized people. So the prototyping, when you prototype, you have lots of parts. They're everywhere. You spend a lot of time maybe searching for that part. Again, not recently. I had a CEO looking for a laser that he had bought. He had brought it. he spent the whole day looking for the laser and he found it eventually. Someone had it in his toolbox that was locked. So he knew where he knew the location, but he couldn't. Delivering, then you start talking, organization. You sort your parts. You talk 5S for those who familiar with it, because time is the matter. You're going to need this. So what are the challenges? Time and money, yes, but that's always it. Letting go is the big problem. At first, small team, everybody holds everything in their head. You have a storage system for information which is based on neurons and synapses. You need to go digital. You need to start, and that's difficult because many founders who design the robot end up being CTO and CEOs, and they have, if you follow their rule, the roles and responsibility, they should be doing something else. So how do they let go? How do they transfer the knowledge? And then how do you document that? Because what you don't want is you transfer the tribal knowledge from the CEO, founder, CTO to the next general manager who still has it in his or her head. Creating structure, enabling flow, that's what you need to create. And your manufacturing strategy, that was the title of the talk, so is you need to know your budget. You need to know what again, documentation shouldn't be in some people's head, because you're going to need to do to communicate that. Know your secret sauce, know what you can bring in and out. Learn to delegate. Be open to learning. You solve it the solution one way. It might be there might be other solution, and have your documentation ready and frozen. If you answer those questions, you'll have most of your strategy already done. And how do I help? Yeah, I help with from defining the strategy to the certification to operational excellence, depending on which level you are. Talk to me if you want, if you need. Happy to help you where I can. No question?
No questions, unfortunately. You want to just a bit. We forgive you. So, let's see here. There were questions there, but we stuck through it. So, there you go. So over to OPLOG and TARQAN from Turkey. 5 minutes now.
Yeah. Last but not the least, thank you so much for waiting for my turn. My name is Halit. I'm the founder and CEO of OPLOG. And I would like to start by not pitching our product and services. I would like to pretty much tell you about how we see the space that we are currently operating in, the logistics space, and particularly the fulfillment part of it. And as you know, the tech industry was booming for e-commerce. And most of the investment went on the pre-purchase cycle. We know all the Facebooks and Instagrams and Googles and pretty much how we come across with the new e-commerce brands in our day-to-day world. And then we saw lots of investment going to the purchase cycle. And there we saw the Shopifys, Klarnas, Stripes, and all the rest of the marketplaces and where we do constantly shopping and all the technology products that are helping us to accomplish tasks. But in the e-commerce space, once you see the title, your shopping has been completed, your purchase has been done. It's not the end of the purchase. It's just the beginning of a very important journey, which is the post-purchase experience. But for any e-commerce brands out there currently trying to grow, the alternatives to sort out that part of that purchase cycle is extremely limited. Either they have to go with the conventional 3PLs, or they have to work with the fulfillment parts of the marketplaces, or they have to do this in-house. But as we all know, that this post-purchase experience is the main driver for the consumer loyalty at the moment. No one really cares how a website is loading fast, or if your payment provider is the best, the fastest, the most agile one. The consumers really want a seamless post-purchase experience. And what the fulfillment industry is currently doing with that. Actually, imagine we are sitting in the board of a 3PL company. And we look at our warehouses. And just by the next door, you see our competitor in the same logistic industrial space, right by our neighbor. They have the same type of fulfillment center. And you look at the infrastructure, more or less it's coming from the same brands. And if you look at the deeps of the technology that we are all pretty much excited, they are pretty much using the same kind of technology, the same software, the same robots. And what's the real differentiation there? Those companies would put your brand. They will print your logo on those same typical robots that they are using. So what is happening in this kind of vacuum? We see the dominance of Amazon. The Amazon in this space is not trying to follow the rhythm. They are trying to create their own song. They own the full stack of the technology, and this technology is enabling them to innovate their business model and pretty much giving them a very big unfair advantage. What is this unfair advantage? How we are seeing that? Imagine you are trying to sell some dedicated fulfillment space, some square meter to your customers with some dedicated robots, but you want the customer to pay for all of this. But that customer, that e-commerce brand, actually doesn't know what they really need. Basically, they need their consumers to have a seamless, a perfect post-purchase experience. They don't need your warehouse. They don't need your robots. But all this contract logistics space is designed in a way that they do the investment and they want the customer to pay for it, regardless it is 100% utilized or not. There's always going to be some fluctuations in the e-commerce space. There will be some unutilized space. There will be some unutilized labor or some technology. But someone is paying for that. And guess who is paying for that? The customers. But Amazon is not doing this. Owning the full technology and disrupting the business model there, they are asking you to pay for what you get. It's totally on demand and scalable. Did we ever see this coming somewhere else? I guess Amazon did the same thing in the AWS space, right? Everyone was trying to sell you software, servers, some infrastructure, but everything totally disappeared, and there was a big disruption happening in the server side, and now we are all using clouds. What happened to our old IT managers, right? Trying to own the biggest, fastest server. No one really cares at the moment. They want a seamless service from the cloud. So what we basically do is, yes, we are a tech-enabled fulfillment company. We have our own warehouses, but we also build our own technology. And this space, especially in the pandemic times, it was a hot space, right? We have seen lots of investment going to tech-enabled fulfillment operators, some new startups. But unlike the rest of this crowd, OPLOG has started in 2013 in an R&D zone in Turkey. And for the last 9 years, we bootstrapped. So it means that we were profitable. We were making our customers happy. And at the same time, we were earning money. That is very interesting for the space. But just last year in August, we received our first investment round from the largest private equity firm in Turkey. And now we are pushing for the global expansion. Our customers, unlike in this tech-enabled fulfillment space, they come from various different sizes because we are customer agnostic. We are totally customer agnostic. And what we mean by that, we don't sell you some dedicated space. We don't sell you some dedicated shelves. What you store in our warehouses in a chaotic approach is distributed into the most logical locations that you share with the rest of the customers. So in terms of storage, you totally pay what you use per day. And in terms of the operations, you don't really care about the efficiency. You don't care about the labor. You really want your orders to be fulfilled. And to do that, thanks to our technology, we totally gather all the customers' order into the same processes. So we created a product around this fulfillment service, and we make our customers happy. Our customers include Tupperware, Sony, Rossmann, and Herbalife. And just this year, recently, we started a partnership with Kühne+Nagel. We know this company, right? They are working with us in Turkey. We are their fulfillment operator, and we provide fulfillment services to their global companies, customers. And starting from Turkey, we are now expanded to UK end of last year, and we're growing fast. And we expanded to US just a couple of months ago, and just last month we launched in Germany. What we believe in this global fulfillment scene, this global fulfillment network, and really breaking the borders for the e-commerce brands going global. Thank you for listening to me. I welcome any questions or feedbacks you may have.
So, yeah, any questions on that before pizza? No one there? Okay, thanks a lot for that then. If you want to know anything about 3PL or tech-enabled 3PLs, obviously you can talk to Halit after in the break. So with that, I just want to say thank you to all the presenters at today that we had up here. It's not the easiest to stand in front of an audience and do these presentations. If you want to make your own presentation at any of our next year events, please let me know. I also want to extend my gratitude to the sponsors of this event. Obviously, we have Hill Dickinson, who we are at. People from Hill Dickinson include more people in the audience. Reach out in the front here. Just reach out to them. Covariant, of course, as well, if you want to know about picking robotics, and OPLOG. So yeah, for the networking part here, we have 1.5 hours to network hardcore. I would really like to ask that some of the more experienced people, the professionals that have worked in the sector for a long time, perhaps you can have a chat to one or two of the students that are here tonight as well, and perhaps push them on how to do networking as well, so they get that kind of experience as well, so we drive the ecosystem as well. With that, presentations, by the way, will be on YouTube from tomorrow, and with that, thanks a lot, and enjoy the pizza and drinks.